Hi everybody, it's Christina from Card Making Magic. I've been asked if I can show you how to do holly leaves, and this is a very pretty Christmas scene that I have as a digital image. So I printed two off, I've coloured one to show you what we're going to do. This is the image that I'm now going to use. So I'm going to make a start with the leaves. The colours that I'm using are CG1, DG2 and DG4, and I'm going to start with the DG4. So what I'm doing is looking at the leaves that are underneath something, and this leaf is underneath the ribbon, so I'm going to add in the shadow along that side. Now that leaf is underneath that leaf and also underneath the ribbon. Now once I've put the shadow in, I can go to the DG2 and I'm just going to extend that colour to the leaf just a little bit further, and again on this side. And then what I'm going to do is take the rest of the colour, I'm going to finish with CG1 and take the rest of that colour to the end of the leaf, and that will give some definition to the leaf. Now whatever I do to this leaf, I'm going to do to the other leaves, but I'm only going to do it to the holly leaves, because if you look, there are ivy leaves in there. So we'll just carry on with the holly leaves, bringing in the shade, and we'll complete the whole of the holly leaves before we move on to the next part. Now that process of adding in the shadow and blending in the other two colours, I am going to repeat on all the holly leaves. So the holly leaves are along here, these are ivy leaves, and I'm not touching those until later. So I want you to just carry on blending in the colours until all of the holly leaves are coloured in. So once you've done the holly leaves, the next thing I'm going to do with DG2 and CG1 is the ivy leaves, and they would be a little bit paler. So I'm just going to follow the vein lines in the ivy and just colour those in along there, and then with the CG1 I'm going from that colour to the edge of the leaf and just filling in that area, and I'm going to do the same on all the ivy leaves. So once we've got those leaves coloured in, I'm going to use dark green 4, and I'm going to look at where all the leaves would be behind the other leaves, and they would be in really dark shadow. So I'm just going to do those in dark green. And I'm going to carry on until I've coloured in all the ones that would be behind. Now once those leaves are coloured in, to add extra shadow and shading to the leaves, I'm using Ice Grey 5, and all I'm going to do is just add in some extra shadow where it would be. So that leaf is hidden by that leaf, and they're both underneath the bow. This leaf is hidden by the pine cone. This leaf is hidden under there. So once I've done this, I'm then going to blend them back out again with my greens. So I'm starting with the dark green 4 and I'm just dotting in the colour, and then I'm going to blend it back out with dark green 2, DG2, and that's just going to give more shadow and shading to the leaves. And the last colour is CG1, and I'm going to carry on until I've done all the leaves. So the next thing I'm going to do are the pine cones, and all I'm using are TN3 and EB3 and EB5, and I'm not doing anything special other than just dotting in the colour along the pines with the 3 colours. So once we've dotted in the pine cones, we're just going to add in the red holly berries. So I'm using dark red 4 and dark red 6. And again, it doesn't really matter which colour you put in first, but the red is very strong, so just dot it into the berries. Try and make it sure it doesn't run. And then once you've got the light colour in or the dark colour in, you're going to go in again with the opposite colour and just add some shadow. So this is DR6, dark red 6, and I've just given a little bit of shape to the berries by adding in the darker colour, and I'm going to do all the rest of the berries. So now we come to the main area, which is the bow, and I'm using 3 reds that will blend together. I'm using dark red 2, dark red 4 and dark red 6. And again, I'm going to start this time with the darkest shade, because what I need to do is look where the shadow would be and find out exactly where this ribbon goes. So we have the big bow there, but we have one of the ribbon bands coming along the side, and again over here one of the sides to the ribbon is coming down there. So I'm going to start on this bit, and this is behind the leaves. So I'm just adding in the deep shadow that would be behind the leaves and in where the leaves are along here. And then once I've done that, and I'm only working on a little area at a time, the rest of the shadow would be coming from where the ribbon is gathered into the knot. So the next colour is dark red 4, and I'm going to use that to blend in the first colour, and I'm only going part of the way along the ribbon. And then once I've done that, I'm using the lightest colour to blend in these 2 colours together. And I'm going to come down here and work on this part of the bow. So I'm using the darkest shade, and I'm going where the shadow would be and along here. I'm going to blend those in with dark red 4. And then blend them out to the end with dark red 2. So whatever I did to that side, I've done to this side, and now I'm going to start on this big bow at the top, and I'm going to start with the dark red 6, which is the darkest colour, and I'm just going to turn my work around because I need to be able to flick the colour in where the ribbon would be gathered and where it's lying underneath the bow. So I need to just bring the colour down there, and then again I need to turn it round because the ribbon would be coming over at the end, so that would also be in shade. And once the other colours are added in and blended, you'll get the effect of the ribbon having a curve in it. So once I've done that, I'm going to use dark red 4, and I'm going to blend out that colour. And the last colour to add in is the DR2, and that's just going to blend in these two colours together. Now, because of the shadow and the shading, that ribbon looks as if it has a curve in it, and I'm going to blend those two out a little bit more because I'm not quite happy with that blend. That's better. So I'm going to go back to the darkest colour, and I'm going to work on this part of the bow. Now underneath in the loop to the bow, it would be quite dark, and then along this edge where again the ribbon is curved would be dark, and then coming out from the knot the ribbon would be gathered and would be quite dark. Now once I have those in, I'm going to use dark red 4, and I'm going to bring the colour a little bit further down and along there, and again we need to give the impression of a loop in the ribbon. So the last colour to blend in is dark red 2, and that's going to blend in along there. And again just along the inside there, and that would give just a loop in the bow. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the others and also on the knot in the middle. Now once you've coloured in your holly wreath and your bow, you can leave it at that if you wish, but if you want to add more shadow then you need one of the grey pens, and I'm using Ice Grey 6, and all I'm doing is going into where the shadows would be, and I'm going to just blend all those out again with my pens. And I know it's a long process, or it seems to be a long process, but it is worth it in the end. And I'm going to do all that on my bow just to create a nice curve in all that ribbon. So here we have the finished colourings. This is the one with the grey in it to bring more depth and definition to the bow itself. I'll make that into a card later. But over here, this one, I've used the blender pen on the ribbon with just dots to bring out the polka dots in that ribbon, and that now is a finished card ready to send.